Today we are talking about belly fat, the stubborn, hard to lose belly fat that is common during and after menopause. Hi, I'm Dana Lavoie, an acupuncturist and herbalist with over 15 years experience specializing in women's health, and I'm here to help you learn to use customized Chinese herbs supported by the best diet and lifestyle to feel great and look great during and after menopause. And today we are talking about that stubborn belly fat, where it comes from, why it tends to happen during menopause, and what you can do about it, because sometimes it seems like nothing works. You just can't lose it. So the problem during menopause, it is common for women all of a sudden to gain weight more easily. And not only do you gain weight in general more easily, but the weight gain tends to accumulate right around your belly instead of going to, say, like your hips and thighs where it used to go. Now, this belly fat is a problem because, being overweight can cause some health problems, but if you are gaining weight in your belly in particular, a few pounds is fine, 2 pounds, 5 pounds, 10 pounds, you're a little bit more than you were in high school, that's normal. But when it goes much beyond that, even though you might still look totally fantastic, there can be some health problems associated with this type of belly fat because it goes from just your belly to deeper into your abdomen and it gets around your organs. And this particular kind of fat tissue actually has health problems associated with that other types of fat that you can have at other parts of your body don't. So this can be a problem. It's not only annoying or maybe doesn't look great, but it can have health, repercussions. So that's why we're talking about it. So what is happening during menopause that makes this belly fat happen? Well, hormonal changes is what's happening that's making this belly fat happen. And here's how and here's why. Estrogen can make this belly fat happen in like one of two ways. So if you have estrogen dominance, which just means you have more estrogen than progesterone, the ratio's out of whack. Now, you can have very low estrogen and still get these symptoms of estrogen dominance. It just means your progesterone is even lower, right? It's super, super, super low. So that's one way estrogen can contribute to this belly fat. And another way is that estrogen levels just going too low can send out signals in the body when you eat calories that they should take those calories and turn them into belly fat from your estrogen being too low. So there's two ways that you're decreasing and changing estrogen levels during menopause can cause your body to start to accumulate this type of belly fat. And another thing that tends to happen, unfortunately, is that once you start to accumulate this belly fat, having this type of fat tissue that forms in this belly fat, this tissue itself sends out chemical signals in the body that tell the body, make more belly fat, store more calories as this kind of fat. So once you have it, it kind of feeds itself. And that's one of the reasons it can be really stubborn and hard to get rid of. But if you understand what's happening and you know how to go about it the smart way, you can shift it. So we're going to get to that in a second. But first, I just want to take a minute and talk a little bit about this belly fat and why it can have negative health repercussions. Okay, so I'm going to read from my notes here a little to make sure I get all of this exactly accurate for you. But this belly fat itself creates a cycle where it actually produces stress hormones and inflammatory chemicals in your body that tell your body, make more insulin, which makes you hungrier and tells your body to turn the calories that you're eating into stored fat, instead of burning through them. So it's decreasing your metabolism. So once you have the belly fat itself pushes your body to make more of it. And your body also can sort of crave this belly fat because in a way it can make estrogen for you. So there's a bunch of different reasons why your body's thinking, oh, when you eat something, I should turn it into belly fat. And we're going to talk about all the ways you can tell your body, no, don't do that. Because when you have this belly fat, it tends to be a health indicator of increased blood sugar, increased bad cholesterol, right? So less good HDL cholesterol, more bad LDL cholesterol, higher triglycerides. It tends to be an indicator of high blood pressure. And there's all kinds of signs of inflammation and risk factors that equal to this. So insulin resistance, right? It's an indicator for insulin resistance, which might not sound that bad, but insulin resistance actually is a warning flag for heart disease, diabetes, fatty liver, vascular disease, and stroke. And belly fat is an indicator of type 2 diabetes, heart attack, and stroke, which do sound bad all on their own. And there are some other hormonal changes happening during menopause, which can also contribute to this accumulation of belly fat. So during menopause, through the whole thing, more towards the end, but all your hormones tend to decline, not just estrogen and progesterone, but also testosterone. And testosterone declining decreases your metabolism. And it also, having less testosterone also tends to change something in your brain chemistry. So your brain is sending out these messages when you take in calories to store them as fat instead of when you take in calories to burn them up, right? So that would be the higher metabolism. So having more testosterone helps your body be having those messages go out, burn calories, instead of store calories as fat, store calories as fat. And we're going to talk in a minute about ways you can affect that by increasing testosterone. Okay, so those are all the reasons why you don't want to have this belly fat and the reasons why it tends to happen in menopause and why it can be so stubborn and hard to get rid of. But now let's talk about, because we know where it's coming from, what can we do to make it easy to get rid of it? Because I can tell you that when you get this kind of belly fat with these kind of changes in your brain chemistry, your hormones, and your metabolism, just dieting, just exercising more and eating less, it's not necessarily going to do it. If your body is saying, oh, store every calorie as fat, store every calorie as fat, you do not want to be trying to diet when that's what your body is thinking. It's just so frustrating. Whereas if we can turn your metabolism back on, then dieting is really satisfying. You don't even really have to diet. You just eat a healthy diet and you naturally, shed unwanted pounds. So let's talk about how to make that happen. So when I look at all the things that happen when you get this type of belly fat, I see increased inflammation in your body, increased acidity, unstable blood sugar, and decreased metabolism, and increased messages saying store fat with the calories that you do eat. And that these are all being triggered by out of balance hormone levels or hormone levels that are too low. Because you can go all through the menopausal transition without your hormones going too low. Yes, they go, from higher to lower, but they don't go to zero. They're not supposed to. So if they don't drop too low, and if they stay in balance with each other while they're changing, so you're not getting that estrogen progesterone ratio out of balance, you can keep your metabolism turned on and not have your body thinking, store fat, all during menopause. It doesn't have to happen that way. So if that is happening for you, where this crazy weight gain and belly fat are happening like seemingly for no reason, like not related to what you're eating, then it means your hormones are out of balance or going too low. And that is the root thing that you want to address to make losing that belly fat easier. So I want to talk about a bunch of ways that you can address your hormones in this way. I'm going to start with a simple one. So increasing testosterone. So one of the reasons that testosterone declines is because women in menopause lose muscle mass. It's just because of the hormonal changes, our body sends out signals. If you do the same amount of exercise you did before, you will have less muscle mass. Your muscles will be smaller. So if you do more exercise, especially the kind of exercise that builds up muscle mass, like yoga or strength training with weights, then you will increase your muscle mass, and that will increase testosterone, and it will help to turn on those fat burning pathways in your body instead of the fat storage pathways in your body. Now, I talk elsewhere about how to do exercise right in menopause. We're not talking about an hour of weightlifting every day. We're talking about short intervals, just a couple of times a week or something like that. It's not a huge amount, but you do want to think about something to increase muscle mass, because that affects your hormones in a way that tells your body to burn fat instead of store it by helping. So that's one way. And so that's one way to increase your metabolism is these, sort of high intensity bursts of exercise with some strength training for short periods of time, just a few times a week. Another way that you can boost your metabolism is by the way that you eat. And one thing that you might want to consider would be like going 12 hours overnight without eating. It's like a very introductory, gentle type of intermittent fasting. So if you finish eating at 7 p.m. and then you don't start eating again until 7 a.m., something like that. Try it and see if it works for you. For some women, eating more often boosts their metabolism. For some women, doing that longer stretch without eating boosts their metabolism. It depends where you're at with your blood sugar regulation. So see what works for you. But the timing of your eating can really affect your metabolism in an easy way. We talked about a number of different ways that estrogen causes this belly fat. So you definitely don't want your estrogen to go too low, and you definitely don't want your progesterone to go too low, because those are going to tell your body, make belly fat. So a couple of ways that you can increase estrogen. One, obviously, would be like bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. I always like to start with Chinese herbs because they are an amazing, natural, and safe way to help your body make more estrogen and progesterone naturally in a really healthy way. So I always like to start with herbs, see how far the body can get, and then add in, the tiniest amounts of the bioidentical hormones if needed. Another way that you can affect your hormones to tell your body to burn fat instead of storing fat is by reducing your stress hormones. And there's so many good ways that you can do this. You can do it with deep breathing and meditation and any type of active relaxation or stress management practice. Exercise can be helpful for this, though you don't want to exercise excessively. And of course, Chinese herbs are really amazing, I find, for helping women with this, especially during and after menopause. And also, a little aside about post-menopause, when you're really, really past menopause, your body can still make hormones, but they are mostly made by your adrenal glands. Your adrenal glands take over from your ovaries and start making some hormones for you. So to keep your estrogen and progesterone a little bit higher than 0, right, like where you want them, your adrenals need to be able to do that for you. Well, your adrenals also make your stress hormones. So if they are making stress hormones all the time, they never get to switch over to making your estrogen and progesterone. So you really need to manage your stress hormone levels after menopause to keep your other hormone levels healthy. It just becomes even more important. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there. And another reason why managing stress hormones is so important for this all during the menopausal transition is that high stress hormone levels basically make you fat. They do a lot of things in your body to cause weight gain. For instance, they can cause depression, they can cause food addiction, and they can cause you to crave high sugar foods. And so people with high stress hormone levels, tend to gain weight. Also, getting enough sleep is really good for this kind of weight gain. Even slight sleep deprivation increases a certain hormone in your body that tells your body, store fat, store fat. And they've done a number of studies showing that people who get enough sleep, 6 to 8 hours of sleep, they lose weight more easily and don't gain weight as much as people who don't get enough sleep. Now, I have another blog where I talk about how to get more sleep during menopause, because that can be a challenge in and of itself, but it can absolutely be part of this picture of why your body is putting on weight, is not getting enough sleep. And then I want to talk a little bit about diet. We've mentioned it a few times. So diet can be really important for helping you to not gain weight, not just by eating less or eating less calories, okay? But I talked about earlier how you want to decrease inflammation and acidity in your whole body. And the way to just set the stage, sort of like the number one underlying thing that you need to do for this, besides forget superfoods and herbs and anything, to achieve this in your body, you just need to be eating a high enough percentage in your diet of vegetables. Some fruits can be in there, but like if you're eating 50% vegetables, you're making a really good start on creating a cool anti-inflammatory state in your body. So that's one thing about diet. And also unhealthy fats. Okay, so we're going to talk about healthy fats. You need those to make hormones, but unhealthy fats tend to cause fat storage. So trans fats, hydrogenated fats, those types of processed artificial fats like margarine, cutting those out of your diet can really help your body not to get into this fat storage cycle. Also, artificial and processed foods tend to turn on those fat storage pathways as well. So, cutting those out is a great idea. And also, if you're eating all those vegetables we just talked about, the fiber from the vegetables helps your body eliminate hormone metabolites really well, especially for estrogen. And this, if you're having any of that, I mentioned sort of like an estrogen dominance kind of pattern where even if you don't have a lot of estrogen, you have even less progesterone, and that ratio isn't quite right, and that can turn on a lot of weight gain pathways. So, by eating enough vegetables, it helps your body detoxify estrogen to help correct any signs of estrogen dominance. So, that's another way that eating all those veggies, besides being cooling and anti-inflammatory, can really help specifically with weight loss in a very smart way. And you'll notice I'm not big on ways of eating to lose weight that involve eating less food or less calories. These are all just ways to kind of get your body to increase metabolism and turn on fat burning instead of fat storage pathways. That's how I like to diet. A couple more ways that your diet can help you lose weight. Women in menopause, as they get older, sometimes have a less powerful digestion. So your amount of stomach acid that you have to digest your food can decline. So having a couple of teaspoons of apple cider vinegar or lemon juice in water 10 minutes before you eat can help with this quite a bit. So it'll especially help with digesting proteins, but it'll also help prevent blood sugar spikes with starchy meals, especially if you use apple cider vinegar. So that's a really nice little tip for, again, eating to stabilize your blood sugar. Also, hydrating, drinking enough water, really staying well hydrated. Now, you might not know this, but often when you're thirsty, your body tells you you're hungry and you go eat something. So, proactively drinking enough water is actually really helpful for weight loss. And last but not least, I wanted to talk about do not go on a low fat diet, right? Don't just like cut all fats out of your diet because they're high in calories. That's really not the way to tell your body to lose weight, because it's like, oh, we're getting so little of this, we need to save it. No, we want your body to think, okay, here comes some calories, let's burn them and do something useful with them, right? So that's what we're working for, and that's not from eating a low fat diet. You don't want to eat those unhealthy sort of trans fats that we talked about, but healthy fats are an important part of a diet that makes your body into more of like a fat burning machine. And along those lines, I wanted to talk about pistachio nuts, because they are a healthy fat, and they have actually been shown in studies to help adjust the chemicals in your brain that tell your body to turn on those fat burning pathways. Avocados and dark chocolate can help with that too. So I have a blog on how to make avocado chocolate mousse, and now I'm thinking we need to sprinkle a bunch of pistachios over the top of it. So there's all kinds of fun ways we can make this happen. Okay, so what we learned about in this video, and I just wanted to tell you guys too that I have a written blog post that goes along with this video if you're watching on YouTube that lays all this out in a really handy way for you to refer back to. So definitely check that out. But we learned that it is the hormonal changes during and after menopause that can cause unhealthy and stubborn weight gain of belly fat, but only if your hormones go too low or get out of balance with each other during the transition. If you can just give your body what it needs to keep your hormone levels high enough and keep them in balance, you can absolutely go through menopause and your hormones can get lower. And it does not mean that you need to get that type of belly fat accumulation. So if it's happening, it means something's out of whack. And the best ways to address that are everything we talked about, but especially making sure that that estrogen and progesterone doesn't go too low. That's just huge. And so for that, my favorite way to address that is with customized Chinese herbs. And if you want to learn more about that, definitely check out my website, because I've got all kinds of free, courses and downloads and lessons where you can learn all about how customized Chinese herbs work during menopause to help your body keep those hormone levels up where they need to be during and after menopause. And so definitely check that out. If you have questions, I'd love to chat with you about this. So just put your questions in the comments. is the key, along with smart tricks to increase metabolism and make sure your brain chemistry is sending out those messages that say burn fat, not store fat. Those are kind of the keys to weight loss. The hormone levels being high enough and balanced, doing all the different dietary things, plus hormone things to keep your metabolism turned on, and keeping those fat burning pathways going in your body instead of the fat storage pathways. Those are the way to prevent or lose that belly fat, not just dieting. That is too frustrating. So I really hope that this was helpful for you and it gave you a new perspective on why losing that belly fat is not the same as, some 18-year-old wrestler losing 10 pounds for his wrestling team. Like, his weight loss situation is really different than yours. So I hope this was helpful. I hope it makes things easier for you. There's tons of great recipes on my website, and let me know if you have any questions. I'm Dana Lavoie, and thank you so much for joining me here today. Bye-bye for now.